This program is not intended to diagnose, cure, or treat any disease or disorder. The listener is encouraged to seek sound medical advice from their doctor or other qualified healthcare practitioner before taking any supplements or starting a new health regimen. Welcome to the Nutrition Heretic Weekly Podcast. I'm Jim Ducharme, your co-host. Along with me, Adrienne Hugh, all the way from Hawaii, where I understand it's, surprise, surprise, nice and sunny.
It's raining, my friend.
Oh, it's raining?
As a matter of fact, my kids were supposed to have a singing performance tonight at their school, and it was going to be out on the lawn, and they had to cancel it because my neighborhood is not only rainy, it's windy, so we get that sideways rain.
Oh,
so
kind of.
Even if we would be under a tent, everybody would still be drenched.
Kind of like San Francisco, where you walk down the street in a really bad rainstorm and you notice all the people in the pubs that are looking out the window are laughing at you as you go by? I've had that experience.
I assume so.
Yeah.
I haven't spent that much time in San Francisco, but yeah,
it's a comedy thing. Like if they're down in the tourist area, they just love to watch a tourist umbrella fold up.
Oh, that's mean.
No,
but it's surprisingly cool because as I have told you before, we have 11 of the world's 13 microclimates on this island, and where I live is very lush and green. We don't have palm trees. We're up in the mountains. We've got lots of cows, and we definitely have some tropical foods and things that grow up here, but we actually can grow a lot of the stuff that can't be grown on other parts of the island, like more of the mainland foods, let's say. That can't grow on other parts of the island. We can grow them up here.
And speaking of food growing and stuff like that, once again, we have the voice of officialdom coming out and basically telling you that you were right all along.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I watch Facebook threads and I see people who are so pro-GMO and they're pro-pesticides and they can't see a way around it, and it's all about kill, slash and burn. We need to take this under our hands. The guys in the white lab coats, they know more. You're a quack because you tell people that organic is better than conventional food, and they just released a report saying that organic food is better than conventional food, and now we can believe it. Now we can officially believe that.
Now we can have our cake and eat it too.
Yes, and actually, this is one of the things that we have to be careful though with, because when we have an organic food that is turned into something like an extruded breakfast cereal. If you don't know what extruded is, it's those nifty shapes that don't exist in nature, really. And so those little
marshmallow
Cheerios,
leprechauns?
Yeah, Cheerios, Chex Mix, all these things that are pushed through dye at very high rates of pressure. What's the word I'm looking for? It turns it into a Franken protein, basically. It distorts, that's the word I'm looking for. It distorts the shape of the amino acids in these foods. So because organics do have higher levels of amino acids, your organic Cheerios might actually do more detriment to you than the conventional ones, believe it or not.
Wow. I've never heard that before. I honestly haven't, that the actual, that molding these things into the little... so are you saying that, not to point a finger at a specific cereal or something, but a cereal like, say, shredded wheat that's just wheat shredded?
I don't know that it's actually just wheat shredded. It sounds like that.
Uh-huh.
But more often than not, these cereals that take on these very specific shapes go through a very high pressure system of being pushed through these dyes. It's similar to the homogenization of milk, where they artificially suspend the fat molecules in the milk, and it also creates patterns that the body can't recognize. So more of this in your bloodstream tells your body, don't drink milk.
So when we're talking about cereal, then, Frankenberry cereal is aptly named.
Yes!
Okay.
Those berries they're not berries.
That's right. I like my berries crunchy. Thank you.
Yeah. So and this is important because remember last time we talked with Tudor Pengal, who had healed himself of 20 years of back pain. And he pointed to getting rid of a lot of this kind of food, or anti-foods as I call them, from the diet, because they wreak havoc on your system. Your body doesn't really know how to assimilate them to make them usable, to give you the raw materials that you need to build bone, to build the muscular structure that you need to hold up that bone. Right? So, and actually I realized after we recorded that episode that I didn't finish the story about my dad, because if you remember, my dad was in the hospital, and he went to the hospital to get his back worked on because he was having this pinched nerve, and they basically had paralyzed him with this surgery. So once he's walking now, I'll put it that way. So it was temporary, but they did have to go in there and fix what they did wrong. And he is walking, but he's not nearly back to where he was before, because if you remember, he was an extremely active guy. He's not totally hobbling around. You know, he can he's lives alone right now, and you know, he's doing well in that sense, well enough to take care of himself, but definitely not the guy he was 6 months ago, you know, before he went in, when he was able to play tennis and, like I was saying, mow other people's lawns for them, mow his own lawn. He was always building stuff. I mean, the guy he's no slouch. So as far as being a back pain sufferer, or even in the situation that he's in now, it did not come out of laziness, as we talked to Tudor, and we're going to talk to our guest today about how lifestyle affects the back and why it leads to back pain. Our guest today is author and certified neuromuscular therapist Gadi Kaufman. He wrote a book called Back Pain Relief in 90 Seconds. Welcome, Gadi.
Thank you.
Hi, Gadi.
Hi.
Gadi, I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to ask you your impressions of something like what happened to my dad. He goes to the doctor. He gets a bunch of doctors say, yeah, get surgery. You need surgery. You're old. Get surgery. Is that always the best place to start for pinched nerves, back pain, low back pain, or any back pain for that matter?
Well, as a matter of fact, you have to have, if you have a pinched nerve, usually it's being impinged and compressed by the disc or some part of the vertebra, which called facet. In this kind of situation, it's more mechanical.
Right.
And it looks like could be one of the causes for lower back pain, but the majority is not mechanical. I think the majority is more neuromuscular response of the nervous system.
Right.
And when I say neuromuscular response is when muscles start to get tired, or they are being overstretched, or they're being moved too fast. All this information is being sent immediately to the autonomic nervous system, which we have no control.
Right.
This information is being perceived as a threat. It's a defense mechanism. This autonomic nervous system will send the spasm signals. Basically, it's called protective muscle spasm reflex. It's the attempt of the nervous system to stop you because you feel pain. And when it sends this protective muscle spasm signal, it's being sent through the gamma signal. As soon as it happens, the muscle will contract and it will lose its ability to stretch, to lengthen.
Right.
As long as the muscle is in spasm, it will keep sending distress signal back to the autonomic nervous system. They are called alpha signal.
Okay.
So now you have this loop between the spastic muscle and the nervous system. They start to be fed by each other, and this reflex signal is indefatigable. And this is why muscle spasm can last years and years and years.
Right. So are we not seeing any of that type of spasm in something like a pinched nerve? I'm sorry to keep moving back to the pinched nerve, but once we have, because I understand it that what's happening in that situation often is that it's part of the actual spinal cord, the casing for the spinal cord is getting stuck between the disc. Is that correct?
Yes. So
do we have the muscles now holding tight and keeping that pinched in there? Is that part of the problem?
So now, once the nerve is impinged, it will irritate the nervous system. As a defense mechanism, it will send muscle spasm, but now the muscle spasm is secondary.
Right. Okay.
Primary is the pinched nerve.
Right. Right. But if we can loosen those muscles or get them to relax.
They will not relax as long as you have the pressure on the nerve.
Aha. I see what you're saying.
Now they are secondary.
Okay. Awesome.
Primary is the impinged nerve.
Right. So you need to get that.
Yeah. I guess now we operate to release the pressure on the nerve.
Now,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to ask you. Sorry.
Okay.
We keep talking over each other. I was going to ask you: is not really understanding where the origin of the pain is coming from. In your opinion, is that one of the reasons why many therapists, chiropractors, and others who treat low back pain or any kind of back pain, is it not really understanding the genesis of the pain, why they tend to make mistakes and treat the wrong thing or go after the wrong part of the body?
Yeah, I think they have a kind of misconception. If you feel pain, most of the people would start looking for something they see. They will think, okay, I guess I have to stretch, massage, or do something else to the muscle, or maybe to adjust the joint. But physically, the bones can't move. They are being pulled by spastic muscles.
Right.
Spastic, the muscles themselves, they are not independent structure. They do not know what to do. They send signal to the autonomic nervous system and receive the message back to contract, to stretch, or to stay contracted, means in spasm. So basically what caused the spasm, it's not the muscle, it's the nervous system, because the nervous system basically controls all other systems of the body. So because most of the people don't see the nervous system, they cannot relate to that. They do whatever they do, and they concentrate either on the muscles or the bones.
Right.
So the muscles are just the employees. We have to talk to the boss.
Right.
The boss is the nervous system.
Right.
There's no point to communicate to the employees. You are back to square one.
Right. So then how does, because I read your book, and your technique that you're using is called strain counterstrain. Yes,
there is another more friendly name. It's called positional release. But the technical term of this technique is strain counterstrain, and it was discovered and developed by Dr. Lauren Jones. He was a doctor of osteopathy in the 50s.
Wow. Okay.
And what is unique about this technique? It switch off the spasm signal from the nervous system. As soon as the spasm is stopped, the muscle fibers will not compress as much the blood vessels. And now there will be increased flow of blood into circulation. And most people, do not know that we have about 60,000 miles of blood vessels in the body.
Right.
It's a huge irrigation system. It's supposed to move efficiently to carry oxygenation and nutrition into the muscle and get rid of the lactic acid, which is the cause of the pain. So if this circulation system is being slowed down, compromised, the muscle spasm, it's like having a big traffic jam on the freeway.
Mm.
And the longer the dysfunction, the smaller the function, which means the longer the muscle are in spasm, they compress first the blood vessels, then the joints, and then eventually they compress the nerve. So the longer the dysfunction, the less we can do, because we will have more and more pain and symptom.
Right.
So we have to talk to the nervous system to release the muscle spasm to improve blood circulation. After you release the spasm, then it should be more effective to work on the muscle itself.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you still need joints, but we have to start with the boss.
Right. Now, how does this compare? Because a few weeks ago, I had some shoulder pain. And a friend of mine told me to check out something called the Egoscue Method, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Yes.
How does this compare to Egoscue? What do they do that you don't do, and vice versa?
I have read a book, and it looks like they tend to use a specific program of exercise to retrain the body, which makes sense.
Right.
One of my colleagues used to be here next to me in my suite and used to have this technique, so we work together.
Okay.
And I think once the muscle is in spasm, it does not respond to exercise, stretch, massage, any kind of modality towards the spastic muscles. Many times will make it worse because it will keep exciting the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to calm down the nervous system to switch off the spasm signal before working on the muscle itself.
Right.
So when I work with him, first I release the muscle spasm, and then the patient used to go to see him, and the whole thing was much more effective because the spasm signal was stopped.
So this complements,
yes,
and could be a good first line for people looking for something like the Egoscue method.
I think it's the first line of attack, the nervous system.
Right. So, No, I was just going to say that our previous guest that we had on the show, he didn't have the availability to someone like you, and he suffered for 20 years with back pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he ended up doing was he realized he had a bit of a gut, and he's not that tall. But he went up to, what do you say, 190, 190 pounds, something like that. And he said, enough is enough. And so he pursued losing weight. He used an inversion table.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually the first time that he thought that he might even be able to overcome this back pain, because it was to the point he couldn't lift a pencil off the ground without wincing and crying and making faces. But what do you think about that as far as the whether it's the sedentary lifestyle or just people carrying too much weight in their upper body and that compressing the tissues and making putting the body into spasm, putting the muscles into spasm?
Well, I've no doubt that extra weight will make it harder for the muscular system to carry the body.
Mm-hmm.
I think because we live in such a sedentary society, it's the main cause of lower back pain because we sit at the office, we sit in the car, we sit at home watching TV. Eventually, this muscle will get tired. As soon as they get tired, they will send this stressor, the alpha signal, to the nervous system, and as a defense mechanism, it will send the muscle spasm.
Right.
Once the muscle spasm, it will slow down circulation, and it will go basically downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the people don't know that the major culprit of low back pain is not in the back itself.
Right. Because it's really referral pain, right?
Yes. It is from the hip flexors, the iliopsoas muscle, which are located in front and the side of the spine, and they are connected to the hip and to the leg. Once these muscles are in spasm, they tend to twist the spine to the left and side bend to the other side. It will compress the SI joint, and it will compress the thigh into the hip joint.
Right.
All this information will upset the autonomic nervous system. As a defense mechanism, it will send more muscle spasm to the back and to the hip and to the other parts of the body. Besides, this muscle will change the position of the hips. The hips are supposed to be level because they carry the center of gravity. Once the hips are not level, this muscle usually will rotate right hip a little more, between quarter of an inch to an inch forward, than more than the left hip. So when you're on your back, it will push your leg down. It will make it longer. It will make the left leg shorter. But it's not because some kind of anatomical discrepancy. It's because the hip was rotating forward.
Right.
Once you stand up, naturally, you will shift the weight to the shorter leg.
Yes, exactly.
Basically, the hips and spine will shift to the left. All this information will be sent to the autonomic nervous system, which is responsible to keep the eyes level. It's a reflex. We need to keep the eyes level, because if they are not level, we get dizzy. As soon as you shift into the left, the nervous system says, hey, you are too much to the left. I need you to fire the muscle on the right side of the spine, on the right side of between the hip and the spine. I want you to fire them to shift the spine to the other side. So it's being done immediately. As soon as it's being done, the nervous system says, hey, you're too much to the right. I need you to lift your left shoulder higher to level your eyes. All this excessive muscular activity is just the attempt of the nervous system to keep your eyes level. It's for survival.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
and it's sorry, I don't want to cut you off again, but it just goes to show that we can't isolate one part of the body as being involved in any disorder that we're talking about. Everything is connected.
Everything, every second. There's constant communication between your hips and your eyes every second.
Wow, that's amazing. So do you think that some people who have eye problems, that if you fix their hips, their eyes would clear?
Well, sometimes it does, but not always. It depends what is the cause.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, right. But you would be surprised to find out that the majority of the people don't have level hips.
I know I don't. I was diagnosed with scoliosis as a child. It's very slight, but...
Right. Yeah, but this is more hereditary.
Right.
Most of the people have what is called functional scoliosis, which the spine is a little bit rotating and twisting, because the spine is supposed to be 90 degrees to the hips if they are level. As soon as hips rotate, right hip will, because it's connected to the L5, will twist the spine.
Right.
And then it will go all the way to the neck. So the majority don't have level hips, I think because most of us are right-handed,
Mm-hmm.
and most of us tend to drive automatic cars, which means we use the hip flexor on the right side much more than the left.
Yes.
This muscle eventually will get tired and spastic. Once they get in spasm, they change they will change because they change the location of the right hip. The hips will not be level, and it will change the whole biomechanics of the body. It could affect your back, your neck, your shoulder, knees, and ankles. So it goes down to the foundation. This is why when somebody comes to see me, I listen to the symptom. But I never start with the symptoms because there are symptoms.
Right.
I have to see the whole picture, and usually it starts with the hips.
Right. So, and this is one thing that I've noticed about myself, and I know we're talking about scoliosis being more of a hereditary issue, but I wouldn't say that I get dizzy spells, but I do have. When I was a dancer for many years, and when I would spin, I would get totally off kilter, where I had trouble keeping. I had all the tricks of the trade for not getting dizzy when I would spin, but it would always happen to me. And so you're really putting a lot in my head right now as to why that was always such an issue for me, even though I had all the mechanics and all the technical stuff right. There was always, and my vision was fine. It just, when I would spin, I would tip over.
It makes sense biomechanically because the nervous system will have to compensate more and more in its attempt to keep your eyes level. So when the hips are not level, it's like driving a car with a flat tire.
Yes.
The car will swerve to the left, and you will try to swerve to the center. And this is what the nervous system does every second.
Yes.
So, Gadi, sorry to interrupt. Please, go ahead. I just want to ask a quick question.
Okay, I'm listening.
So it sounds to me as if one of the best things you can do for back health is just go for a daily walk.
No.
Okay.
Well, it depends. But usually, the longer you have, yes, I assume just daily walk is fine. But once the hips are not level, the more active you are, you exacerbate the dysfunction.
Got it.
It's like if you have a flat tire, instead of slow down, you'll go faster.
Right, exactly. That's a good analogy.
Sports. This is why I see athletes, they do whatever they do, and they are much worse than other people. They're in good shape, but they really messed up the whole nervous system, not just the muscle.
Right.
Because once some muscle on a spasm, it's like an avalanche. It will cause more and more muscle to compensate.
Mm-hmm.
And many times when the hip flexors are in spasm, they get weak. They get weak not because lack of use, because they got shorter and shorter and shorter. And the shorter they are, they have less distance to fire, to engage. And then they get weaker and weaker. Because they don't do their job, they're supposed to propel the leg forward. Because they are not as effective, the nervous system will ask the muscle above the hip, the muscle along the spine, the obliques, to compensate and to kick in to move the leg forward. And then they are the compensating muscles. And of course, you feel the pain, but they are not the cause. They are the symptoms. This is why I tend always to start with the hip flexors, not with the back. With the hip flexor, which are on the side and the front of the body.
Right. Right.
So walking is nice as long as as long as you don't go too fast, because if you go too fast, you exacerbate the dysfunction.
Right. Just to let anyone listening know, we've gotten a little bit technical during this conversation, but Gadi's book is really super user-friendly, and that's one thing I really, really loved about it, because you do explain a bit about the origins of pain, where it's coming from, the involvement of the autonomic nervous system in a way that's very digestible for anyone who wants to read it. It's not so technical that you can't grasp it. But gosh, what is it? 4/5 of the book at least is exercises that people can do. And when I say exercises, a lot of them are pretty much laying on your back, right?
Well, yeah.
At least in the first part of the book.
Well, I don't really call them exercise. They are more releases.
Right, the releases, yes.
Yes.
I'm thinking positions, the positions that people are putting themselves in.
Right.
And yeah, not exercise in the workout sense, but exercise in the do this step, do that step.
Oh, that's a relief.
Yes.
Yeah, just speaking for myself.
See what you did there.
So what is nice about this technique is extremely gentle, because what you do to stop the spasm signal, instead of stretching it, you slacken it. You relax it. The muscle is short but not contracted. And once you found the right position, which is between 5 to 10 degrees, the muscle spasm will stop sending the distress signal to the nervous system. As immediately the nervous system will stop the spasm signal. Right. So the technique is very gentle, but at the same time very effective, because it manipulates the core of the human body, the nervous system.
Right.
So since I've been teaching this technique every day, many times a day, I decide to write a book, because it can be done at home, and yes. It's no pain. It's just find the right position to stop the spasm signal.
Right.
And usually I get between 3,000 to 5,000 visits to my site every month from all over the world.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people looking for help.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, as we discussed before, the conventional route does not always acknowledge where that pain is coming from, and people are getting mixed results at best,
right?
In my opinion. Because I have done the chiropractor routes and all those types of things, and I'm not saying that chiropractors are bad, and I'm definitely not going to say that they've destroyed anything, which many people will like to say. I have my own theories on why things happen, but this is very important, and I'm really glad that your work is getting out there now, because you are helping a lot of people. But one thing I got to ask you though, 90 seconds? Is that an exaggeration?
No. When I say 90 seconds, I mean once you're in the position,
right.
You have to stay at least 90 seconds, because it's in this 90 seconds, once the spasm has been stopped, the blood starts to flow into the tissue. Mm-hmm. Oxygen, nutrition in, lactic acid out. And after 90 seconds, you check the specific tender points that you were supposed to find, it will be gone.
Right.
Completely gone. Well, between 60 to 70% or 100%. And it's very surprising that it's gone for most of my patients, but if you understand their physiology, it makes sense.
Right.
It's because we deal basically with electrical currents,
mm-hmm.
signal between nervous system and the muscle system. They are called reflexes or impulses, but it's the same mechanism when you switch on and off your computer.
Right.
Electrical signal.
Right.
So once you understand that, it just makes sense that you can release the spasm really fast if you find the position.
Do you know what Sorry,
Yeah?
Gadi, please go ahead. Sorry. I just had this abstract image the way you're describing this in my mind, and I don't know if I'll describe this effectively for you two to know what I mean. But do you remember those toys we used to have as kids that had strings going all through them, and they came on a little sort of pedestal, and if you push the bottom of the pedestal, the doll would go completely limp?
Okay.
And if you took your hand off it, the doll would, because the string that was holding the doll together was spring-loaded, the doll would...
Oh, sort of.
You know what kind of mean? I get that image in my mind when you're talking about this. The interconnection, the how the muscles are working with each other rather than just doing their own thing.
Absolutely. And they're supposed to work together, and they are all controlled by the nervous system every second. So usually I spend sometimes I feel like how do you say that some kind of electrician. I just switch off different fuses in the body.
I hope you're cheaper than an electrician. That's all I gotta say.
Jim, I was really respecting you because of your last comment about the toy, which I have no idea what that toy is. But but then my question is, all I keep thinking through my head is, will I be able to do splits if I do this for 20 minutes a day for the next month?
You will be surprised how much the range of motion will be increased.
Because I want to do splits. This is my white whale. Okay.
Okay. Well, first you have to release the spasm.
Okay. So there is a spasm that is keeping my legs from.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna report back to you guys.
Not yet. Once you stop the signal, then you can start stretching the fibers.
Yes.
And they will stay.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the muscle is spasm, you can stretch. It will not stay. It will bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the muscle spasm is there.
Right. See, I don't even have a bounce back. Mine is just stiff. It's like, you're not going there. You're not going there.
Yeah, this is what the nervous system says. Don't go anywhere. Don't go, because now you're in a spasm. Now, most people tend to a little bit confused about muscle spasm, because usually they think muscle spasm is when they can't move. Oh my God, I can't move. It's so bad. This is what I call high intensity muscle spasm. But most of the people work through lifetime with many low intensity muscle spasm all over the body. They don't know that because they don't feel the pain yet. But if they poke into the muscle, it will be extremely tender, sometimes painful. But once a while, this low intensity muscle spasm will fluctuate and change to high intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't move because there's too much pain. But the majority of the people work with a lot of muscle spasms through lifetime, and you can see, if you watch them, their right hip is higher than the left.
Yes.
Left shoulder is higher than the right.
Mm-hmm.
All this spasticity, they are not even aware of it, but it's there. One day they just have to lean to pick up a piece of paper, and then the low intensity will switch to high intensity, and they freeze.
Yes.
So when I work on a patient, I'm looking for the low intensity.
Right.
And it will be all over the body, not where they feel the symptoms.
Right, exactly. Gadi, we're running out of time, but I wanted, if you have a quick success story you can share with us of somebody who, maybe was almost crippled and then left your office walking.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I used to work with this gentleman. He had a really bad accident in his 20s, and he had too low back operation, and they expect him to stay in a wheelchair. And he said, no, there's no way. He has very strong will. And he started doing, physical therapy and exercise, and he was fine. But he said for the next 40 years, he just lived with pain. He went to bed with pain, and he woke up with pain.
Mm-hmm. So
when he saw me the first time, I could see the look in his eyes. Oh, come on, what can you do for me? I've been I've been to so many therapists, and I'm still in pain. Anyway, after the first session, he was in shock. There's something really changed in his body. Anyway, he just kept, he really studied all the releases, and he kept using them day after day. Eventually, he got rid of the muscle spasm. Once the muscle spasm were gone, he didn't have pain, and then he could go to the gym.
Wow.
So now he goes about 3-4 times a week. He goes to the gym, and he plays golf. He said he feels much better than he was in his 20s. He's now 68.
That's awesome.
So my point is that muscles, the list of the muscle spasm would open the gate, open the curtain. Once you don't have the spasm, then you can do all the other modalities and to move forward. Because switching the muscle spasm will not switch the fibers. It's just stop the spasm signal.
Right. Well, I'm definitely going to put this into practice because I was involved in a car accident about 15, 16 years ago. And I definitely know that it screwed up digestive disorders. I still have a little TMJ from that. And even though this is about low back pain, I can't see where it would not give me some benefit, particularly talking about the autonomic nervous system and being able to relax and the body knowing that it's safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Letting the body know it's safe.
Yeah.
So I just want to let everybody know that your website is gadibody.com. That's GADIBOTY.com. And there you have some videos, correct?
Yes.
And your book, Back Pain Relief in 90 Seconds, is available on Amazon.com. We will have links to all of this on our website. Sorry, did you have something else to mention?
Amazon and iTunes.
Oh, and on iTunes. That's right. Okay. Yeah, so his book is available on Amazon and on iTunes. And again, his website is gadibody.com. And Jim, can you take us out of here?
I sure can. And if you'd like to be a guest on the Nutrition Heretic podcast, it happens every week. Just go by our website, nutritionheretic.com, and drop us a line, or pop up on Facebook and check out Nutrition Heretic, facebook.com/Nutrition Heretic. On Twitter, we are NutriHeretic. And, if you have a show idea, if you think that you'd be a great guest, we'd probably agree. So let us know. Topics, guests, whatever. We certainly want to talk to you and spread the word. And don't forget to rate our podcast on iTunes and Stitcher because it's real important to us. So we certainly appreciate it if you could drop us a few stars and a nice comment. Until next week, Adrienne, Gadi, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.